I got the list. I got the list right here. Hey, look, listen to all the people that could do the halftime show for Super Bowl 53 on February 3rd, right here in Atlanta, Georgia. I mean, these are all people from Atlanta. I mean, you got Outkast. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's in the Hall of Fame. He's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. You know, this is a guy. He had the best album of the year, Outkast. You got Ludacris. Who doesn't like Ludacris? I mean, you got to be Ludacris not to like Ludacris. Yeah, I mean, he's from here in Atlanta, Georgia. He's mainstream. He's on movies. You got Ludacris. CeeLo Green, Crazy, Forget You. Are you kidding me? Perfect. All right. CeeLo Green. Well, what about Usher? I mean, enough said. I mean, he's Usher. 2 Chainz. Well, maybe not. T.I. I don't have a problem with T.I., but the NFL might because you remember, you had that Janet Jackson thing. And by the way, Jim Steig, the Super Bowl expert, this is his segment. We're going to talk to Jim Steig here in a minute. Jim Steig, we're going to try to get him to talk about that Janet Jackson thing. Yeah, we're not quite ready yet, but we're going to. And then, if all those people scare the NFL, you got Gladys Knight, right? I mean, Midnight Train to Georgia. But instead, my goodness. I'll just get ready to leave. I don't even want to mention these guys. Maroon 5. They're not even from Atlanta. They're from California. The NFL is getting Maroon 5. I mean, nothing against Maroon 5 except the fact that they're not from Atlanta, Georgia. They're bringing some people from L.A. to the Super Bowl. So I don't know. So Jim Steig was in charge of 26 Super Bowls through 2004, something like that. And he's retired now, but he does an awful lot of other stuff there. Maybe Jim can give us some insight on how the NFL came up with something so cockamamie as Maroon 5. We got all these other people like right here. I mean, we got Ray Charles from Georgia. Oh, he's dead. But anyway, I'm just saying. You know what I'm talking about? Anyway, let's see what Jim's got to say. He may not even be home. He's in North Carolina. Let's see what.
Hello.
Jim, Terence Moore, how's it going?
Doing great.
Right before I called you, I was on this rant here because everybody here in Atlanta, Georgia is really just ticked off. I mean, you got the Super Bowl coming here, and halftime they got Maroon 5. Nothing against Maroon 5, but the fact is, I was just saying, you got Outkast here, you got Ludacris, you got Usher, you got 2 Chainz. We don't want to talk about that. You got Gladys Knight, but they end up with Maroon 5. Now, when you were in charge of Super Bowls for those 25, 26 years, how imperative was it for you to make sure, or did you try at all to try to get somebody that was indigenous to that area for the halftime show?
Well, we wanted to have somebody that was part of the community for some major element of the show, whether it was the anthem or the halftime or the pregame. And we had a little bit of a focus that was different than what they do now. The pregame show was kind of a mini halftime show. Maybe it wasn't mini, but that we always tried to focus on the local community, what was taking place, because we thought that the halftime show should be focused kind of on just pure entertainment, and particularly when you started to get into celebrity type, performers in it, it wasn't always possible to select somebody from the area. So that was true, but certainly you look at what we did with anthems and the people we selected to do the anthem, we always had somebody that had some ties to the community, if at all possible, and certainly the pregame show was that way all the time.
Yeah, I've covered 30 Super Bowls, and so they all kind of like run together, except for a few here and there. And of course, I've covered, needless to say, since I live here in Atlanta, Georgia, both the Super Bowls that were here in Atlanta, which you were in charge of. And I sit here and I'm thinking to myself, I can't remember who did the pregame shows or even the halftime shows. Jog my memories. I mean, was it somebody big?
Now you got to get me to jog my memory because I haven't thought about it in a while. I know the pregame, one game, Tina Turner was involved in that.
I remember that, yes.
And I know we had Faith Hill do the anthem at one. We had, oh gosh, shame on me. I should remember who did. I know who did it. I can't think of her name now. She's passed away. do the anthem at the other one, and she did a fantastic job. I'm sorry, I can't think of her name.
Well, but let's do with Tina Turner.
It was the daughter of Nat King Cole.
Oh yeah, Natalie Cole.
Natalie Cole.
Yes.
So yeah, we always tried to get somebody that had some tie-in, and I think in the pregame we did some stuff around, Gladys Knight and some things like that around the music that was there for that. The halftime shows were a little bit different. With the halftime show at 34 was a Disney show that kind of had a lot to do with what was going on. If I was going to put a theme to it, maybe what was happening around Epcot at the time. So each one, and I think the one we did, at 28, was a very interesting one because we had just come off of Michael Jackson, and we had a very, very difficult time getting performers to get involved with it. And I think it always came down to the fact that nobody really wanted to be a follow-up, to Michael Jackson and be compared with it. So we ended up doing a show that ended up with like 3 or 4 country singers involved in it.
Well, you mentioned Tina Turner. I really want to ask you about Janet Jackson. Maybe I'll do that next month. But anyway, but Tina Turner is noted as being sort of wild and out there. Any nerves there that she might do something like a wardrobe malfunction or something?
No, not at all. Ironically, the one who had always wanted us to get Tina Turner was Steve Staple.
Wow, NFL
very
Films.
Good friend, and he would always bug me because she was his favorite entertainer, and he'd always say, "Why don't you go after Tina Turner? Why don't you go after Tina Turner?" And we finally were able to get her to do some of the pregame. The other one that was supposed to be involved in the pregame at that point was Madonna.
Whoa!
She was supposed to be involved, but I want to say she was pregnant or something and stopped performing right before she canceled out on us with about 10 days notice at that point. So we did kind of go out and try to stretch the envelope a few times.
Well, not to put you on the spot, but I'm going to put you on the spot here. I mean, again, people are just so upset. I mean, everybody. I walk out the house, my neighbors are asking, do something about this. Do something. We do Maroon 5. What can you do about it? I tell them, hey, I'm just a lowly sports writer. So if you were still in charge of this Super Bowl, if you had like a wish list of some guys or gals or children, for that matter, that you would say, okay, these are the people that I would be really high on my list that I would want to get for a halftime show for a Super Bowl in Atlanta on February 3rd, 2019, who would be a couple of people that you would say, I'm going to make sure they're going to be part of that?
Oh, I don't. It's really hard for me. I don't think about that anymore. I remember the one that I wanted to get REM involved back in '94.
Wow.
And everybody talked me out of it because, I can't remember the lead singer. He was kind of out there, not only what he wore, but, different things he'd say and stuff. So
yes.
They talked me out of having it, but that was obviously had an Athens connection there. So I think one of the things you look at, and I always tried to do this, is you'd look at who won Grammys the year before or who were runner-up in the Grammys.
Sure.
And try to figure out, who made the most sense that were out there. Now the halftime shows, which is great the way it's worked out. You're trying to go after, the biggest names you can get out there in entertainment. But those that think that you can put on a show that is so difficult to do, in the middle of 70,000 people, in the middle of a single stage, in the middle of that, and then on television also. And it takes a real showman or showwoman to be able to put that on. And so I think you've got to talk to the person and see what their imagination is and can they envision themselves doing that. I mean, I think of some of them that were so successful, like U2 when we went and met with them.
Awesome.
Before that one, talking to Bono, that was not more than a couple-minute conversation, because he totally got it, and they knew they had the right show and the right songs to be able to put on, in the middle of the stadium. So it takes, what they think they could do and how they could perform, because it is a totally different act that's there, which you've got to be able to do than just standing up and strumming a guitar. You take McCartney, say, in Jacksonville, who put on he's a single guy, but he put on a show that encompassed, about 40 yards of the field all the way across, and obviously blew out fireworks and things like that because he had songs that could do that. So, it's a very unique talent that you have to do, and they've certainly had that the last couple of years.
I'll tell you what, Jim. When you think about Super Bowls, I mean that's the ultimate. You would think for a performer. You got this big, huge audience. Everybody is watching it, whether they know a kickoff from a punt. Okay, they're watching this thing here. But I would imagine, I'm just guessing. I mean, was there ever somebody that you wanted to get very badly and that you tried to get, and they just said, you know what, I pass. I'm good.
Three of the people that ended up coming on after I was done. The one I went after forever and ever was Bruce.
Wow.
And tried really hard to go after him to get it. I knew every member of the band. I knew the agent, manager, all those people, because he tried to get it done. And he refused to do it because he said that wasn't who he was. You know, it was too commercial for him. You know, we went after the Stones, and it wasn't the right time or place for them. But obviously, the Stones came back literally the next year after I left. But you know, we looked at the Who. There are letters and meetings and things with all three of those that are numerous, where we were trying to pursue them to get them involved, but it wasn't the right time in their career, or they didn't see it as well for what they could be able to do on the field. So, yeah, I all the ones that frustrated me most was Bruce, because I must have spent 7 or 8 years going after that every year.
Whiz. That would have been awesome, baby. You know, I'll tell you what, Jim. I'm going to send you a little something in the mail, a care package, because I'm going to be honest with you. I'm trying to butter you up to perhaps next month we'll talk about Janet Jackson. But don't say anything yet. Don't say anything yet. Okay, we'll talk about it. So we'll see you next time for the Super Bowl expert.